Hello, everybody. My name is Robert Bearden, but you can call me Robbie. I chose to do my project on Muslim Americans, a diverse but often misunderstood group. Um, First of all, who am I? And why does that matter to this discussion? Uh, I am a white male, as you can see. I am a Christian. I am a multi generational European American. And all of those combine to make me a person who has spent most of his life with a lot of privilege. So I realized my need, wanting to be a professional that works with people, in learning about other cultures and being able to welcome and include them into whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm also looking to be a counselor, and I feel like as a counselor, it's your duty to help everyone that comes to your door, not just the people that look like you. So I definitely want to learn how to perform my duties, and do that in a way that is inclusive and that is welcoming to everybody. Why did I choose Muslim Americans? Well, I chose Muslim Americans because, first of all, they're often very misunderstood. It's a culture that I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about, and I'm going to date myself, but 9/11 happened just right after I graduated high school, and I think that, especially from that point on, it got a lot worse in America for Muslims, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconception, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't part of that. I have a lack of personal experience as well, I feel like, with Muslim Americans. Um, and I just wanted to expand, uh, particularly for this group of people. I just wanted to expand my understanding of their lives. I know that there are often at least the conception of cultural barriers between uh, my personal culture and the culture of Islam, and I wanted to see what those were, if they were real, and I also wanted to make sure there were no barriers to providing care uh, as effectively as possible to people that might be Muslim that might come into my office. So I walk you through some of the resources that I found. First of all, I chose the Center for the Muslim Experience, which is a website monitored by ASU. It's articles by Muslim students and faculty. Has a diversity of different approaches. A lot of it is by Muslims for Muslims. It's how to navigate certain experiences, certain issues, just sharing each other's experiences. But there's definitely some of it that's intended for specifically for learning by people outside the community, and it's all open and available because the goal is to share the Muslim experience with as many people as possible. It's authentic. It's individual voices of people from a variety of levels of academia that are associated with ASU. It's connected through our school, so it's a resource it's easy for us to access, and it's easy to navigate as well. It's got a lot of different stories that are easily to find, um, and easy as if you're a Islamic student. It's a good resource because there's lots of discussion boards and places you can talk about the experience, get other people's input. So moving forward as a resource to use for people that I knew that were Muslim and needed somewhere to turn for a little bit of information on that, this would be a good resource for that. I also chose a show called the Great Muslim American Road Trip. Excuse me. It's a television show that's on PBS, kind of a reality show format, and it follows a millennial American couple that is also Muslim as they travel Route 66 through Middle America and encounter different people and communities. And it was very interesting because obviously there's some intersectionality between different age groups and how they interact, mixed with different uh, with the Muslim American experience. On top of that, um, it highlights the differences and similarities, but it found a lot of similarities, even uh, just among socioeconomic classes and stuff like that, and how they reacted. I think they traveled through some places where maybe sentiment towards Muslim Americans is not the best, but like people get to know them and realize who they really are, and as it tends to do, that helps dispel misconceptions. So that's a good example of that. I also chose to include this resource because it's educational, but it's also engaging. It's in a fun format, an easily digestible format. Excuse me. So I think it helps a lot of people. It can be useful for a lot of people, for clients, students, people that you're trying to share some experience with. It's an authentic voice that you can use um, to portray those similarities between cultures. I also chose a couple of peer-reviewed articles. I chose the one I used the most of, but I think there's one by the Pew Research Center as well that's also very good about a similar subject. And this one is a study by the Journal of Adolescence, and it is uh, taking data on second generation Muslims, specifically high school students, and how they feel about their attempts to blend in and to acclimatize uh, to American society. It shows that in that second generation, there's a greater ability on behalf of Muslim Americans in that group to feel connected to their Americanness, and that they don't really feel a lot of conflict between their Islamic faith and that part of their culture and identity and their American part of their identity. Um, and it found a interesting correlation between pre-existing discrimination and the ability to blend in or fit in. So what it found was that by the second generation, the first generation, um, interestingly as well, it found out that a lot of the struggles that first generation Muslims feel are, and this was the Pew Research as well that sort of pointed this out, but that a lot of those are common across different cultures that are immigrating to America. There's just a general ability, or not ability, but a general struggle to sometimes to figure out how your customs fit in with American customs. It's conflict I'd imagine would go anywhere, no matter who's immigrating where they're immigrating to. But it found out that communities where discrimination already exists and is prevalent are where the experience seems to be the worst at fitting in, sort of implying maybe it's not the problem of the Muslim American trying to fit in, but the community that won't accept them. So both of those were very useful studies. They're a little less, maybe a little less of the kind of thing you would show like a student because they're a little drier, but the information is very relevant and very useful from a professional standpoint. So my conclusions that I took away from this, the main takeaways we've got here. Muslim Americans are a unique but important part of American life. They are able to fit in just as well as anyone else is in American society. I think there's misconceptions, and I think a lot of the mistrust and a lot of the issues that certain people would point to about blending Muslim culture into the American culture are due to misconception. I think it's some of the culture is very visible, and I think sometimes that leads to the misconception that people don't want to blend in because they're not dressing like us. But like it's one small attire is one small component, and there's plenty of customs that other cultures have that we don't really react quite as strongly to. And I think a lot of it is the misconception on the part of the non-Muslim in the equation that leads to that mistrust. There's a lot of groups that intersect with Islam. Um, a lot of times when we think of Muslims, we think of Arab Americans, and there is a large community of Arab American Muslims, but there's also African American Muslims, there's Caribbean American Muslims, there are white people that are Muslims, there's people from Southeast Asian countries that are Muslim. So there's this assumption that there's a certain look, and really there's a lot of ways that intersectionality between different prevailing attitudes can create challenges for integration and also misconception. So I think it's important to bear that in mind as well. Um, Most Muslims, most voices I heard are eager to be part of American life. They want to maintain their own identity as Muslims, as anyone would, uh, immigrating somewhere new or fitting into a culture. I mean, we don't ask Christians to stop wearing crosses, so there's no reason to ask Muslims to stop being Muslim to blend into American life. Um, and I think most Muslims are eager to do that. There's not this certain bigoted people that think that Muslims don't want to be part of our life, and that's just simply not true. And a lot of problems blending in, like I mentioned during the research, was their first generation, shared with other cultures, just typical to the immigrant experience and more indicative of that than they are of a specific Muslim American part of that. And any ones that are specific to Muslim American tend to be from judgments from the community that individuals are trying to blend in and fit in with. And as with anything, counteracting discrimination is going to promote inclusivity. So being open-mindedness, willing to learn about new people and experiences, willing to see things from someone else's point of view is the key to making spaces where people are able to be involved. The application moving forward, don't assume Muslims don't want to participate. If you're a nonprofit, your educational institution, your counseling practice, anything like that, don't assume that Muslims don't want to participate. Include them, welcome them, respectfully approach any differences, because there are some, but that's okay, because they don't have to be barriers to inclusion. And then always, if we're fostering a creative, welcoming environment for everyone that we come across, then all groups will be involved and all groups will be included, and all of our practices and professional careers will be equitable. Excuse me for the cough I've had. There's a lot of pollen down here in Georgia. But thank you for listening. I hope my resources helped you as much as they helped me. It's been a pleasure taking this class and learning. I've got resources for you here. Here's my references, the document link, but also I've posted my documents as well in form of reference list. You can click the links. You can go back and look at it separately if you want to read anything that I talked about. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Good luck with all of your professional careers. Thank you.